I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm very happy that we shifted this session from another room to this stage, because this is almost as warm as LA is, and I really appreciate it. So for 6 years, I was the founding CEO of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. And as its name implies, it was an incubator focused on innovation around clean technology, and our job was to help entrepreneurs get their products into marketplace. We built that organization from a garage to a world-recognized program, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but it gave me a chance to work with hundreds of entrepreneurs in clean technology. Now, if you ask me who I was or what I do, I would tell you that I was an entrepreneur. That's pretty much kind of what I've tried to do all my life. Now, it's not always been successful, as you'll hear, but I've tried to create companies of motorcycles and, clean technology and internet stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. In fact, I spend a lot of time going around the world trying to convince public officials that really entrepreneurs are the secret to solving all of the world's problems. You know, if we just can figure out how to harness the entrepreneurial spirit, we can solve these problems. Now, before I go further, how many in the audience are either entrepreneurs or have been or have started or have worked in a new company? Raise your hands. Ah, yes, my brethren. So I need a clicker. Ah, there we go. So entrepreneurs are kind of unique animals. I was going to say weird, but maybe not. Okay, they are different. For instance, first of all, they are we do different things, right? We start things. I guarantee you that most people do not get up in the morning and look at a clean sheet of paper and say, okay, I'm going to start something, and I'm not going to necessarily know where it's going to go, or I'm not going to know if it's successful, but I'm going to start something. I've tried to start 11 companies. Well, starting something is good. We also try things. You know, you can't expect to try things and always be successful. In fact, my favorite quote from an American inventor is, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. So to be an entrepreneur means to try things and be willing and expect to and deal with failing. You know, I mentioned that I tried to start 11 companies. 7 of those got off the ground. 6 of those generated a little bit of customer traction. See where this is going. 5 generated a little revenue. 3 made a little bit of money, and 1 made a lot of money. So my track record is 1 out of 11, and I think I could probably have done better if I had things like this to go to. So we live with trying and failing, but we always learn from that. One of the most valuable characteristics of an entrepreneur to an investor is the word pivot. Can you, in fact, change with what's going on and shift to what you want to do, to what's happening in the market, learning as you go? Well, it's all well and good to start and try things, but, you know, we build stuff. We build technologies. We build companies. You know, the entrepreneurs at LACI are in the process of building batteries, electric airplanes, you know, ag tech products that really boost the productivity of farm, all different kinds of things. There's a real thrill about actually creating something. So we start, we try, we build. Well, we got to generate. Got to generate revenue, jobs, production. That's what entrepreneurs do. We start things, and we build and generate. We create something new. That's the reason why, by the way, all net new jobs in the United States for the last 40 years, every one of them, were created by companies less than 5 years old. We make things happen. Now, I didn't really know I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't have the slightest idea, really. You know, my father worked in a factory for 20 years. He made telephones. You know, and I was trying to figure out as a younger man, what I wanted to do and what to get educated on. And my dad said, well, son, what you need to do is the only way to make something of yourself is to become an engineer. Well, I love my dad. I respected him, and I said, okay, well, great. So I got into one of the better schools of engineering called Berkeley, and I started to become an engineering student. And it didn't go very well. In fact, I pretty much flunked out after the first 3 semesters. I wasn't paying attention, and maybe I got distracted a little bit by that sex, drugs, and rock and roll stuff, but really my heart really wasn't in it, okay? What I wanted to do, I wanted to be a motorcycle racer. But I was afraid. I was afraid my parents would disown me because they'd put all this money and time and effort, but I really wanted to go fast. I wanted to be a motorcycle racer. And then my older brother came to town one weekend, and he took me out to dinner. And when you're going to school, you remember the really good dinners. There are not a lot of those around. And this is what he told me. Freddie, live your own life. Don't worry about what others think, but take responsibility for what you do, however it turns out. So I became a motorcycle racer. And by the way, my parents took a long time to forgive my brother for giving me that advice. For 4 or 5 years, I was a professional motorcycle racer. And here's what I learned. I don't think I could have learned this anywhere else. I learned to win. And I liked winning. And it's easy to tell. If you cross the finish line first, you are the winner. How much in business do we do that? Do we learn how to win? I also learned how to be kind of determined, because part of racing motorcycles is occasionally making mistakes. And when you make a mistake on a motorcycle, you fall off and you crash and you burn stuff. So I had to learn to become really determined. I became pretty determined on that. And I won a lot of races. But I realized that I was never going to be a Valentino Rossi and get into the top line of motorcycles, And I had to find some other way that I thought maybe I could excel at. So I got into a really dangerous sport called advertising. And I worked at very large advertising agencies in New York on global advertising accounts. And, remember, I was fresh off of racing motorcycles, and here I was competing again with men and women who had degrees from great schools, who had connections. My idea of an establishment suit was maybe corduroy and red shoes. And I was petrified for these guys. And I thought there's no way I was going to. And I went home for Christmas one Christmas thing, and my father gave me the next piece of really great advice. Son, don't be so afraid of failing that you don't try. Don't be so afraid of failing that you don't try. And, I said, okay, well, what the heck? I kind of relaxed about all that stuff, and I put my head down, and I just started to work hard. And I became a pretty successful person, and I kind of launched my business career from that point, from those key pieces of advice. Now, during my career, I've had the pleasure or the opportunity to take part of or be part of 3 technology revolutions. Yes, there was something before the iPhone, okay? The personal computer. This came out when I was 2 years old, by the way. It changed everything. We could iterate, we could communicate. It was a whole different thing. And because I had started to become, have a reputation for understanding some technology, I ended up running the Apple computer account on a worldwide basis. And the very first time I ever came to Paris was to work with the Paris office of this advertising agency to do an advertising campaign for Apple. But I learned something really, really important from Apple. You know, they were, even today, they are really the brightest of the bright. You know, and that was at a time when Apple was in the headlines all the time. It was a big job, it was a big account. But you know, I learned that the arrogance can really get you in trouble. Because Apple thought they had it figured out. You know, they thought that you didn't have to be told what that product would do. Just have the power to be your best. Okay? That's all. If you can't figure it out, you shouldn't have the product. Well, guess what? Microsoft introduced Windows 3.0, and they ate Apple for lunch and almost took them out of business because Apple was too arrogant, didn't think any competition would work. The second technology revolution I've been a part of is the internet. I delivered a reputation for something. Anyways, so I formed the first internet division of an advertising agency, and this is in the early mid-90s, okay? And let me tell you, that was the time when there was not going to be any e-commerce on the internet because nobody would put their credit card online because nobody would do any of that. So, and I formed an internet architect, a systems integrator in the mid-90s. And we worked with very large companies. And one of our companies we worked with was called Universal Studios. You know, the people that make the movies, that have the music, that have the theme parks. And they hired us to do a analysis of their business, you know. And this was a big job for us. We spent 6 months, delivered a huge report, got in front of all the top directors, and I said to them, our results are, this is going to be a $500 million business for you in 5 years. The internet's going to be huge for you. Well, they laughed me out of the room. No way, is that never going to happen? You know? We never got another project from them at all. We were both wrong, of course, because $500 million is about what Google makes in advertising a week on the internet. So it's a different world. And we built a fine company. We grew it across the country, and I learned how to create companies. I learned how to rescue them when they went down. And then about 10 years later, I was in La Paz, Bolivia, and I got a call from the staff of the mayor of Los Angeles. And they said, well, Fred, we're thinking about creating this clean tech ecosystem. You know, we heard you know something about that. Lie. Would you come and help start that? That was the only thing that would actually get me back from South America. I was riding my motorcycle in South America for 3 or 4 months. And I came back for 3 reasons. Because only in the world of clean technology, however you want to define it, can we do what I think is really, really important. 1, do good. You know? We get to work in a business where we actually can make a difference. You know? If you can't have fun doing good and building a company, something's wrong with you. Okay? This is absolutely perfect. Do good, have fun, make money. Ah, yes. I think all 3 of those things can happen. Okay, do good, have fun, make money. This is the clean technology world. I think it's the biggest opportunity, the greatest source of wealth creation, job creation for the remainder of the lifetime of everybody in this room. This is the future. If you're not in this now, you need to be in it. Okay. So I took that job, and we started the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, and we did it in a bus repair garage in Skid Row. We had a couple companies. I didn't know anything about incubation, but and we invented kind of a new model, but here's what I did know. I kind of knew what entrepreneurs needed, because I'd been one. So we developed a program of finding folks that were successful entrepreneurs, figuring out how to hire them, connive them to become part of that, make them coaches, and developed a whole program to focus on them. people and the curriculum. You know, you're not going to learn how to build a business in business school. Huh? We built a $50 million facility. When you're a clean tech entrepreneur, what you sometimes need, you might need a chemistry lab. You might need a prototyping center. So we figured that out and we built that. Here's the results. We've delivered $625 million of long-term economic value for the city of Los Angeles. Our startups have raised about $228 million. They're all very early stage startups. They're all deep tech, hard tech kinds of guys. And they've generated $220 million worth of revenue. The city of Los Angeles is happy too because they have more clean tech startups than anywhere else. They generate more green jobs. They buy more electric cars. We're more solar. So we have a real ecosystem going on here. But I came to believe that playing only in Los Angeles wasn't enough because I thought there were entrepreneurs around the world, no matter where they were, that had great clean tech ideas. And boy, you see them here today, right? The difference between LA or San Francisco and much of the rest of the world is there's no support for these entrepreneurs. So that's why I formed the Network for Global Innovation, which is a membership network of 28 incubators and accelerators around the world connected together, whose purpose is one thing, to build a global ecosystem to support clean tech entrepreneurs. So I'll leave you with my journey of discovery. I'll leave you with the journey of discovery without even reading it. 1, go your own way. Don't be afraid to zig when the world is zagging. I've made my entire life that way. But understand you're going to have to accept the responsibility. When I became a motorcycle racer, I knew there was probably going to be some kind of payback down the road, you know. Don't be afraid to fail. Really. And we in the United States, we in California, we have the benefit. That's kind of our history. That's our culture. That's not true all over the world, okay? Don't be afraid to fail. Passion and risk-taking is all about what entrepreneurs are about. It's not about making money. Yes, we need to make money, and that is a measurement of success. But if you need to have passion for what you're doing and then the determination to make it happen no matter what. And of course, finally, don't listen to all the critics. There are always going to be critics that say you can't do it or you should do something differently. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But they're not the ones that are going to do it, and they're not the ones that are going to live with the results. Finally, do good, have fun, make money. Thank you.